Welcome back to the channel. Today I will be teaching you how to use the AutoCAD Fusion 360 CAD software to generate NC files to cut notches in round hollow tubes on a standard flat plasma cutter table. Most fabricators use either coping tools with circular cutters or use the two-straight cut method for notching tubes. I've used both very successfully. Both of them have limitations. However, when the angle drops below approximately 40 degrees, the quality of the notch generated rapidly deteriorates. The amount of additional grinding increases significantly. The difficulty in accurately making the straight cuts at small angles also increases. It seems that the biggest impediment to the use of CAD notching is the expertise required to generate the NC files and the expense of purchasing a rotary notching NC cutter or parting the work out to a job shop. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate that the software required is free, the learning curve is small, and you can use your existing flatbed plasma cutter. You can download the Fusion 360 CAD software from the AutoCAD website. I will leave the web address in the comments below, so let's get started. Okay, we're now entered Fusion, and what we want to do is come over and select the new box, click on it, and what we're going to do is we have this pop-up window, and it's default to parts design, and so we want to create a new part, so we're going to click new. Okay, so now we're in where we have a palette, and so we're going to, and it defaults to solid, and that's okay. You want to be in solid, so we're going to create a two-dimensional sketch. And we're going to select top over here because we want to be looking down on it, and so this is the X, we're looking down onto the XY field, and that's what we want. Now, we have to click on this now. If you notice, we're in solid mode, but when we're going to click on this, we notice that it's no longer in solid mode, it's now in sketch mode, and that's exactly where we want to be. Okay, I'm going to turn off dimensions because they're just going to be a problem. We don't really need them. And that's good enough for right now. Okay, so we want to come up here and we want to create a midpoint line. And I'm going to select it right here at the source. It can be anywhere, right? And it's going to be inches long and 0 degrees. Okay, so we created that. Now we want to come back up here and select line, and we're going to create a 10-inch tube, and we want it to be 30 inches. So I'm going to select 30, 3, 0. See how it's done? Okay, then I'm going to hit return. And so, and I'm going to come down here and just fit it into the center. So we have our geometry. We've got a pipe, straight pipe here that we're going to have, and we're going to have a pipe that's going to notch, and then we're going to weld to this. So this is our geometry. And it's flatbed, and that's all we need right now. So we're going to go back now into solid because we want to create some solid tubes based upon this 2D geometry. So we're going to select solid, okay, and then we're going to select create, and we're going to come down to pipe. We're selecting a pipe, okay. And so with this pipe pop-up occurs, and it says it highlights select. So it wants to select a path. So let's go down here and select this one. Okay. And this distance, this is 100% of that 10 inches we want it to be. So it's going to, yeah, 10 inches that we created. So that's fine. We can leave that. Section size, well, we're going to do a 1 3/4 pipe, so that's 1.75 that we entered in that field, right? And we want it to be hollow, right? And so the section thickness we're going to make 0.09. And we want it to create a new body, so we can just review everything we've done there. It's what we want. We aren't changing anything, and so we're going to go OK. And there we've created that body. Now you can see that the sketch stuff turned off, so we're going to come right up here and we're going to turn the sketch back on. Okay, and so we're going to go, we're still in solid mode, and we want to create another pipe. And the pipe we want to create is this pipe. Okay, now you can see it defaulted with all the other stuff that we put in, except for this one critical box here. We don't want to do a cut. We want to create it as a new body, right? And so, wow, there we have it. And so, once again, let's just take a look at everything. It's exactly the same, exactly what we want, and we hit OK. So that's our basic geometry right there. Now, we somehow have to turn to notch this pipe correctly and then turn it into a flat pattern. Okay, so we're still in solid mode, and what we want to do is come in here under Modify and hit Split Face. And this menu pops up here, and we'll just move it over here to center so we can keep on looking. Now, the face to split, this is kind of interesting here. So you got to come up here and you got to rotate this thing. It's kind of difficult. So the face that we want to split is the inside face. Okay, and the splitting tool that we want to use is the outside face of that. And so split with the surface. And that's what it is. And we don't need to extend that split. Okay. So let's again review. Okay, we've selected the inside face is what we want to split. We could select both the inside and outside, but the easiest way to do this is just select, it's good enough, just on the inside. Okay, so we'll hit OK. Now we're going to come over and look at the bodies, and we're going to turn off body 1. So this is the tube now that we want to split. And so we have split the inside face, but we want to do something a little bit differently to it. Okay, so let's come over here. We've rotated it so we can get to this. There's the inside face that we want to split. Okay, so we want to select that. Okay, we've selected it now just by clicking on it. And we want to do a modify, and we're going to do a press pull. All right, and so again, we come over to our side, and the face we've selected, we want to do it this inside face, and we want the offset to be automatic. Now the distance we want to be the minus of the thickness of the part. Okay, and again, let's just take a quick review of that before we click on it. Now we're going to watch what happens. Oh, it's got coped. How about that? We can look at that real quick. Say, there's our coping, right? So that's a major milestone right there. Now, I'm just going to go up here and hit Save. And we're going to name this Cope 30. Okay, and we're going to save. Just in case you lose power, or you don't want to lose this stuff. Okay, so what we want to do at this point is we need to cut a very small line right through from here all the way to the end. Very straight, very thin, because we can't unfold this thing if it doesn't have a cut line. Okay, so we're going to have to do a cut. Now I'm going to go ahead and reorientate this whole thing up here in the right hand column. I'm just going to, and so now I'm going to create a plane, okay, that will cut through the exact center of this pipe. So we're going to come up here and do a construct, okay, and we want a plane through 3 points, and we're going to select that plane through 3 points. Okay, so we have in our two lines that we drew, we're going to use points on that to construct this plane. And there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Wow. Okay, we can go up here and say, okay, we're cutting a plane through 3 positions, and we selected that. It looks good. Okay. Okay. Now, we don't really need to be looking at this thing, right? But I'll rotate it so you can take a real quick look at what's going on here. This thing, like we said, it splits that part right in half. Or it has ability to split that part, right? It just flows right through the exact center of where we want, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're still in solid mode. We're going to go to modify, right? And we're going to go split body. Select split body, okay? And the body to split is going to be this tube. And the splitting tool, okay, to select it, we're going to come back over here and we're going to highlight construction again, and we're going to split it with that plane 1 that we did. So let's make sure that we switch now to the splitting tool, and we're going to highlight it, and there it is. And then we're going to say, okay, now split it. Okay, doesn't look like anything happened, does it? Okay, but what you notice is we had 2 bodies, and now we have 3 bodies. So the software is saying, yeah, you split that thing. Now the gap between these 2 parts is 0. There is absolutely no gap between those. And let's just take a look. Let's turn one body off. Wow, half of it's gone. There you go. And then, the other half. Okay? Now, what we want to do is that split right there, we want to take one face of that, and we're going to shave off 1/1000th of an inch. So we want to put a gap, right, just in this one section right here. We don't want to do it on the back side. We only want to do it on this side. Okay, so I'm going to turn this body off, and I'm going to rotate it. And we're going to also turn off that construction plane. And we're going to rotate this thing. I'm going to continue to rotate it. Okay, and I'm going to increase the size of this thing so you can see it. Okay, and so we're going to do another modify. We're going to come to modify, right? And we're going to offset a face, right? And so a little menu over here on the side, I'm bringing that here, and it wants to know the face that you want. And it's highlighted for select, so we're just going to come down here. And there's the face we want to do. And we do it, and we want to know how far we want to do that. Well, we're going to do a minus. That's the critical thing. We want to make it smaller, not larger. We'll push it this way, minus 0.001. That's a pretty fine slit, okay? And now we have it. So we can select the other body, and you can see that fine slit right there, and it goes right through only this side, not the back side. It only exists right there. Okay, so we have split this pipe, we've increased the gap, and now we want to bring them back and make them one solid piece. So you can see we've got 3 bodies here. We're going to select the combined, and we're going to select that surface, and we'll rotate this around, and we're going to select that surface. Okay, target and the tool body have both been selected. The operation is to join, and we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, you can look over there, we're showing 3 bodies, and after we click this OK, we're going to have 2. There it is. Okay. And so we now have one solid body with this very thin line cut between those. Okay, 1/1000th of an inch. So I'm just going to go down here and bring this all back into view. And so what we need to do, or what we want to do now, is go into sheet metal. Okay? And the first thing we got to do is we've got to select a rule for our sheet metal that we're going to use, because this is going to get turned into a sheet metal. We need to know what rules are out there. So we're going to select this item as a sheet metal rule. Okay, every piece of sheet metal has to have a rule. And here's the library of what you can do. And first, so we're going to say for this particular one, we want the steel. And let's go. We're going to select this, but first we're going to go take a look what it's set for. Now you can create a new one if you want. Okay, and so this is steel, and I've set the selectness to 0.09. K factor is 1, right? And the gap is the thickness. Okay, so we don't need to save that. It's what we want. If we changed anything, we would have to save it, right? And so close. So we know we've got a rule that we can select for this. Let's convert this to sheet metal first. Okay, so I'm going to convert it. Once it's selected, we've got it. And there's the steel. Now we could go in there and select, and we've already selected, so it's just telling us, okay, it's the thickness, everything is good. Okay, so we're going to convert it right now. There it is. Okay. At this point now we can go in and say, create a flat pattern. And so I want us to select that thing. We're going to select it. We're going to hit OK. And there it is. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. So we've got a flat pattern. And this is going to be our cutter path. So I'm going to save that. What we've done. So we're still in the design mode. But the next thing we're going to cover is the manufacturing mode. Okay, now that we have our flat pattern, okay, we're going to exit the design mode, and we're going to go enter the manufacture mode. Okay? And the models, we don't want the hard solid one. What we want is the Cope 360 flat pattern. Okay? There it is. Now, I'm going to reorientate this thing, so I'm going to go to Home first, my home, and then I'm going to select Top, and I'm going to rotate that thing 90 degrees, because this is the end of the pipe, and this is the end of the face that you're going to be cutting on the pipe, and this is how you're going to orientate it when you cut it on your flat CNC cutter. So the first thing now, next step we have to do is create a setup. And so we can come up here, click Setup in our toolbar, right? And there it is. Okay, so now we have to say, what machine are we going to cut this on? So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to select a Langmuir Crossfire, and you can select other ones as appropriate. Okay, so the operation type is going to be cutting, okay, and we're not going to go off a sketch, so we definitely want to turn that off. And so now we need to select. We don't want that solid 3D there. We want that flat pattern, okay? And we select it. Now we see it came up, okay? So everything looks good. We'll come up here and check the stock. We don't need to know that. The defaults, whatever there, are good enough. And so now we have to set up a part position. And you can just leave this default there. It's not going to matter one bit, okay? And then we're going to come over here, and they're going to want a program name, and we're just going to say Cope 30 degree. You can put anything you want in here. And then the content, it's going to be 1.75 tube, 0.009 thickness, and it's mild steel. Okay? So there it is. We've now got our setup. So the next thing we have to do is select a cutting tool to now cut this pattern. And so we're going to select a tool. And I have a local library I've set up. So I'm going to select that. And want to come up with a thickness 0.09. Well, not quite exact, but I know this works really good on 0.09. So I'm going to select that cutter. And the cutting mode is through it. And we get the speeds and feeds here. And these are speeds and feeds for 45 amps, which is what I have my cutter set for. And then that all looks good. So now we're going to come over to geometry. It's probably one of the most critical things we got to do here. Okay, so let me pull this out into the center so we can, a little bit easier to talk to. Okay, so we're going to select chain. Okay, and then another menu pops up, and we don't want a closed chain, we want an open chain because we're only interested in cutting this path right here. Okay, so we're going to select that, right? And so now it's asking us to select, we don't need to name it, the cutter path. So we're going to go, okay, we want that one, okay, we want that one, and we want that one. So we have selected all the paths that go from here to here, which is what is going to cut the pipe. And you don't need to change any of this other stuff. Just take the default. So you go, okay, that's good. And we've now shows that we've selected an open chain. We don't need to deal with heights. And then now passes. We're going to have a finishing overlap of 0.01 inches. Tolerances left sideways. That's good. Everything looks good as it is. The defaults are good. And so now we're going to link. So we've got to plunge cut and then get to our cutter path. Well, leading it in radius, we're going to have to leave a 0. And because we're just going to start cutting from the plunge cut, everything is going to be 0 here. Leading distance is going to be 0. And we now need to select the preferred leading point. So hit select, and I'm going to select this one. You could select this one, but one of the two. And hit OK. And there it shows the cutter path. So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to come up here and select Simulate with Machine. And we're going to click on that. And it's going to show, okay, cutter is going to set to where it's going to pierce, and it's going to cut all the way through. So let's just watch that and make sure everything works. Yep, it looks pretty good. So we're going to exit that simulation. And now what we want to do is convert this cutter path into an NC file. So we're going to come up here where it says G-code NC program. We're going to select that, okay, and everything should have come over fine. Everything looks good. You don't need to change it. I mean, if you want to change these names, you can, but now we're going to post it. Right? And it says NC code successfully posted. And so one last effort, we're going to come up here and we're going to save that, and we have saved it. So that's it. Now the only step that's left is to take that NC file, take it over to your NC cutter and load it up, and then cut the tube. And we'll cover that in just a little bit.